Hi, I'm James Coughlan, Munster back row. Well, I started up in Old Christians years ago when I was a young fella. There was a few lads on the road kind of playing ball and saw that I was relatively big, so I said come on up and join in. From there I went to Mayfield Community School for a few years and then went to CBC and started really seriously, properly in CBC, but always played other sports as well. And then obviously went from CBC to UCC and then into Dolphin and played with Dolphin for a few years, and Decky, after about 3 or 4 years, Decky gave me a shout and I managed to get in here, and touch wood, I've been here since. So. I think probably the first real memory I have is when Munster beat Australia in Musgrave Park. You know, you kind of look at the scrap on the sideline, but it was just the intensity, and you could see like the Australian fellas were kind of scratching their head, wondering what the hell was happening here, like, you know. But I think that's probably the first memory that I have of, you know, Christ, I want to play for Munster. Kind of, you know, it was, I think it was in 6th class in school, and you know, it's just something that stands out. Like Keith's dad was playing on that team, you know, it was incredibly, you know, physical, and you just kind of look at those guys and, you know, that's where you want to be, you know. So, I suppose David Corkery would have been one of the main fellas that I would have looked up to, because he's only lived up the road from us as well, you know, so it was somebody who was local. But like, you know, you had the likes of Roy Keane, you know, when I was in school, he went to the same primary school as I went to, so it wasn't just rugby, it was, you know, sports people in general, you know, like even Conor Coonahan was like, I loved playing Gaelic football, and Conor Coonahan was always kind of, you know, if you were playing on the road, that's who you wanted to be, kind of thing. Like, but I'm probably showing my age with the fellas I'm naming here anyway. So I think anybody really, in Ireland especially, is you know, if you're a sporty, it's not just rugby. It's, you know, I go watch the local GA team. I go, you know, watch football. Go watch soccer, and you know, it's part of us really. I think, you know, especially in Cork, it's such a great sporting history. You know, and it's not to put down Limerick or anything. We know there's a responsibility that comes with playing for Munster, and the players look to drive that on, and, you know, drive individually each other. Try not to, you know, you don't accept losing, you know, you have to deal with it, that's part of it, and you try and use those losses as a motivation for the following year, you know, and you look at it, it's always extremely difficult to see like Leinster and Ulster in a Heineken Cup final, you know, and if ever you're kind of feeling a bit browned off of what's happening at training, you know, you only need to look at those kind of things, and then you kind of focus the mind extremely quickly, you know. So I think it's something that's been driven on by the likes of Paulie and Raj and Doug, and you know, those guys have been there, they've won Heineken Cups, and yet they're still the guys who are training harder than everybody else to make sure they can get there again, you know. So I think it's just inbred in us, I think, you know. I suppose the New Zealand and Australian games are obviously extremely special from a personal point of view. I suppose being captain against Australia and beating them is something that will live long, and you know, it's probably something I'll get a few free points out of when I retire. Like, but no, they're special days, and you know, they're the kind of things that you try and draw on to make sure that you're, you know, getting to European Cup finals and pushing yourself to, you know, you don't want to be looking back and thinking, oh, you know, that's all I had. I want, you know, we've beat Leinster in the Magners League final a couple of years ago, which was just extremely special, you know, because a lot of us who played in that would have played the whole season, you know, and it was great to actually finish it out and win that, you know. So, you know, there's lots of special things, like even your first, like I'm saying, even your first cap. The first cap is probably the hardest one, you know, and it's once you get that, that's the taste, and you want to keep going and keep getting the jersey, and when your name is called out inside in the change room, like that's a special thing on a weekly basis, you know.